Hi guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. To continue with the theme of the CPF discussion that we have been having, Mr. Loo came out with a really good video, Mr. Loo from 1M65, talking about the SA closure in general, his pros and cons and risk warnings and his strategy wise for the CPF amount. So I thought it was a really good video, so I wanted to give my commentary and also to react on some of the points he made and just give a bit of my own take on the whole situation. So here's the video here. I'll just be playing it, and of course my screen's here, so I'll be looking here this side.
5 years old like myself, it doesn't affect you right now, but you need to know what the policy entails even if you are not 55 years old, so that you know what's coming and you do all the actions today to optimize your return as you head.
So yeah, the SA account closure is actually, it's not only for those at 55, it's anyone that is within that range, 55 and above. Anyone that has any excess amount in the SA account, those will be closed and collapsed into the OA account. So that's the thing that he's talking about here, the CPF SA account closure and who it affects. It also affects basically everyone who's Singaporean, right? Because everyone who, once they hit 55, their SA account will be closed. So this is in line with what the government has proposed in, I believe, last year, March or May, where they came out with the policy. So the reason for the government coming out with these policies is because here are the 4 reasons that they've been saying in CPF, the announcement that they made in March 19, 2024. So firstly, it says that the core priorities of CPF system are to provide for members basic retirement needs as well as support their housing and healthcare needs. Even as the CPF system evolves around these 3 key areas of Singaporean remain fundamental. And number 2, the core principle behind closing the SA for CPF members aged 55 and above is the right side CPF monies, such that only CPF savings committed for retirement earn the higher long-term interest rate. So I think this is the main reason why they are closing the SA account for CPF members aged 55 and above, because really, before this policy was in place, there was a lot of hacks where people did the SA shielding, where they tried to protect their SA account by buying maybe putting the SA account into ILP or investment policy, so that when they reach 55 years old and when their RA account starts up, more money will be taken from their OA account instead of SA account. Like for example, if your SA account has, let's say, $400,000, right? Your OA account has $213,000. What people do is, okay, I want to protect my $400,000 in my SA. I'll buy a sort of an ILP plan or insurance plan with the view of cancelling it after a few years. People age 55 comes into play. The RA will withdraw everything from their OA account first. So OA accounts earns 2.5%, SA earns 4%, right? So they will take everything from the OA, transfer it to their RA, and then from their SA, after a few years, they'll cancel the policy or the policy matures, then it goes back into their SA account and it continues to earn the extra 4%. So I think they are trying to right size this issue where, to be honest, the people who take advantage of this SA shielding previously was more of the, I would say, more well-to-do, more affluent guys who actually earn a lot more during their working life, right? So that's why by closing this, it's sort of a fair way to treat everyone as equal, because the SA account is really for retirement, right? If they allow people to continue on, maybe they felt that it wasn't fair for the other CPF Life members, where they continue to earn this extra 4%, and then other people will only earn the OA account if they don't know this like so-called hack previously, right? So this is the primary reason why I felt that it's an okay policy to do, right? Bad for those who had extra money in CPF SA account, but I think it's fair overall. Now going back to the video.
Towards the 55 years old deadline. Second, it mainly affects those with special account amount that are above the FRS. Now what's FRS?
Yeah, so like I said, only those that are above FRS will be affected, because either way $213,000 needs to go into your RA account. If your SA only has $213,000, this will be transferred to your SA account, and then you won't lose out in a way versus the previous policy. Let's say you have $300,000 in there, the extra $87,000, instead of staying in your SA account, if you did the CPF shielding thing, it now goes back into your OA account.
This is the full retirement sum. So if your CPF special account do not have 213,000 in 2025, which is this year, then to be frank, it doesn't really affect you, because whatever you have, the government will make sure you get transferred all in entirety into a retirement account.
Yeah, so it gets transferred to the retirement account.
And from there, you disburse out to you in CPF Life. To quite a sizable number of people, especially in the 1M65 community where your special account is above the full retirement sum, so this will affect you and affect you.
So quick note here about 1M65. I believe Mr. Loo has been championing this so-called strategy where topping up your CPF account so that it hits 1 million by 65 years old. So yeah, it affects his community a lot more, because that's the strategy or his advice that he's been giving people, right?
You in a very big way. So to many people, they're just wondering, what on earth is SA closure all about? So we do a quick recall what the special.
So over here, he'll just explain what SA account is about. I think it's really good. You can view it. Let me just go to the main points here.
Below $213,000, most of the money will all go into a retirement account, and those that are above $213,000, which is the full retirement sum, will be transferred to the ordinary account, where now it earns only 2.5%. So in a sense, versus the old scheme, you lose an additional interest of 1.5% interest. So at 55 years old, your special account gets shut down and will not see it again. So in short,
yeah, so like you said, everything now goes to OA. So I guess it's fairer for a lot more individuals. Yeah, so previously, like I said, if your SA has above this $213,000 or the FRS, it will stay in your SA account. Or even if you only have this $213,000, a lot of people have been doing the CPF SA shielding, where they invested it. Then after a few years, they either policy matures or they cancel policy. It goes back to your SA account, and the RA account, instead of taking from the SA at 55, it takes from the OA. So you sort of like earn the extra 1.5% interest that side.
Forward at 55 years old and above, everybody will only have 3 accounts: ordinary account, Medisave account, and retirement account. For your retirement account, you will continue to compound at 4% return all the way to 65 years old or up to 70 years old, where then your CPF Life will kick in. I'll talk more about that. But
yeah, so RA account it still earns the 4%. So in a way, it just continues what the government said, right? The SA is really for retirement, and once you're 55, you open a retirement account, and that's why it's still earning 4% technically, right?
You cannot touch this amount of money until 65 years old, until the CPF Life kicks in. And the second thing you need to take note is that whatever you have inside your retirement account, you cannot draw out in one lump sum as well.
Yep, so whatever's in RA account stays there for your CPF Life, and you can't withdraw it out until, of course, once you reach 65, you can draw out from CPF Life monthly distributions. So let me just fast forward a little bit more.
Allow you to have this thing called enhanced retirement sum, also known as ERS. And the amount is significantly very much higher than what the previous scheme is. From 2025 onwards, the amount of ERS that you get.
The ERS is basically 2 times of FRS. So those who turn 55 at 2025, currently the FRS is 213,000. So the ERS, the enhanced retirement scheme, is 2 times of that. So it's $426,000.
Can have is $426,000. That's for anyone that's above 55 years old and above in 2025. Now, for those people like myself, I will actually have a bigger sum, and that's because of inflation and increase in cost of living. The CPF board does increase the ERS. So by the time,
yeah, ERS will always increase as we go on for the next few years, right? Because of adequacy and inflation. So the government calculates that out, and then they come up with a number.
you reach 2027, and this is already
So let me fast forward a little bit.
Really on three factors. How much money you put into your retirement account at 55 years old. What plans do you choose when you start withdrawing, and then your take-out timing. Which point of time, whether is it 65 or 66 or 70 years old, do you start taking out?
Now, Mr. Loo gives a good explanation on the mechanisms of CPF Life. So top up is the amount that you put in to your RA account or your CPF Life account or your CPF Life, right? So it's amount, and the plans, escalating, standard, and basic. So these are the three plans that you can choose. If you like a better breakdown of escalating, standard, and basic plans, and sort of which one has the highest return, I recommend reading investment Moat's article. So it's on which CPF Life plan gives the greatest return, right? It was written a couple years back, but I believe it still holds true for the numbers. Of course, the FRS, ERS numbers have increased, but the percentage-wise return is the same. So as you can see here, from what I've read and what I've modeled previously, a basic plan would be the plan that I would choose because it only gives a stable distribution, so it's up to the individual. But when I calculate it out, the stable returns were fine, and then at the end, let's say if you pass on at 85 years old, you still get the bequest. So if you see the IRR calculation over here, at 85 years old, let's say if someone passes on, I think that's the average now, basic really wins out. Standard and escalating only gets higher IRR once you hit like 90, 95, or even 100 years old, right? Of course, right now there's always increasing life expectancy, and if you think you're going to live a lot longer, then probably standard and escalating might be better. But for me, I think what are the chances that I'll live to 85 years old? So maybe basic, I would choose the basic plan, and then looking at the metrics wise, it seems like the best to me, right? See, it's like 4.39% here, roughly the same number that I calculated out also, so it's like 3.9 to about 4.4%. Here, I'll link the article at the bottom so you can see it below.
All these will affect the payout amount and the CPF Life, and I'll walk through
yeah, so here's explaining the three mechanisms. Let me fast forward a little bit more to here.
High as possible, and indeed today I have a very large sum of money in my special account for myself as an example, and later you could adjust your own number using the CPF Life calculator in the CPF website. For a person,
so yeah, here's where you're going to project out $426,000, which is the ERS. He's going to project it out for if you put this amount at 55 years old, how much you receive at 65 and 70 years old. Basically, he's going to use the CPF payout calculator and then show us how much it is.
Person who maximizes his ERS at 20.
Let me fast forward a little bit more. Okay, here, right.
Every month. So you assume that he gets it for 12 months, and you divide by 426,000 because this is the principal amount he put in, and he has compounded to amount by 4% over 10 years to 65 years old. He will get a return rate, abstractly speaking. Now, this is the wrong way to calculate, but
yeah, like you said, it's a little bit of a wrong way to calculate it out. Previous videos, I've shown how much the IRR calculation is. It's not this 6.29% amount here. It's closer, depending on when you pass on. It's like what investment Moat shows here. It really depends on when you pass on and which plan you select, of course. For the standard plan that he chose, let's just look over here. if you hit like 90 or 95, then it hits like the 4% range. So I think this is a more accurate representation on sort of like how the finance world calculates return, right? It's internal rate of return.
Abstractly speaking, this is about 6.3%, okay? Which is a very good dividend rate. Now, someone said, Mr. Loo, you cannot call this a dividend. I know, okay? Because you cannot get...
Yeah, can't really call it a dividend. It's yeah, you get the distribution at 65, right? So it's not really a dividend as well because it's a distribution. It's an annuity, right? So it's a distribution.
Get the principal sum back. I understand, right? But you know, if you abstractly think of this like a dividend stock or dividend paying instrument, it's a 6% return, which is not bad for me. If you decided no, I'm...
Yeah, but to be fair to Mr. Loo, sort of I see what he's saying, right? How if you put this amount in there, you will get back about 6.29% sort of like yield in a sense where you get it back every month. Like I said in my previous video, the returns can't be beaten in CPF Life if you really only care about the distributions that you receive, right? So CPF Life, because of course versus other insurance policies, CPF Life doesn't have commissions that it needs to pay out, expenses, like marketing fees and all that. So all these expenses and it also is so large, right? CPF Life, so it has the highest return, and that's why it's a good plan for a lot of individuals if they only care about the financial aspects of it.
Not quite
so after this, he'll be talking about life expectancy here.
He's about 83 years old. I think the recent number may have dropped to 82 with the COVID pandemic and things like that, but you'll still be 82, 83 years old.
Yeah, so there's also longevity risk, right? For a lot of this. That's why the government came out with CPF Life, because they saw that, hey, there's a longevity issue that might plague retirees. So that's why CPF Life pays out for life. Now it's 83. In a couple of years' time, 10 years' time, who knows what the life expectancy is.
But that's for a person at birth. So if you already live to 55 years old, I got a good news and bad news for you. The good news is you're probably going to live until 90 years old. The bad news is also you're going to live until 90 years old and you got to feed yourself until 90 years old. So yes.
Yeah, like he said, you need to feed yourself until 90. If you live until 90, that's longevity risk.
You are probably not going to live to 100 years old like what Mr. Loo aims to do, but you're likely going to live to 90 years old, and you better start figuring out at 90 years old what will you get. So if you indeed live to 90 years old, you will live 25 years on CPF Life. CPF Life will give you $3,330 over 12 months, over 25.
Yeah, so this is the total amount that one will receive on the, I believe, standard plan that he chose. If they live until 90, $999,000, which is quite a lot, but of course doesn't take into account inflation, etc. And of course, it's at the end of it, you won't get any bequest because you do withdraw more than what you put in already.
5 years, that's a freaking $1 million, $999,000, and that's a lot of money. So in that sense, I put in $426,000 and I get back $1 million. I think it's quite hua.
So I believe there was an article in the Straits Times maybe last week or 2 weeks ago talking about retirement adequacy. Swee Yong did a great video about it. I'll link it in the description below. And in that video, Swee Yong did point out that, hey, they are not really accounting for inflation in the article, which is very poignant, I felt. So it's a good watch. Please watch the video down in the description below.
Logically speaking, this is government backed, right? So this company won't collapse. So this is where I also want to encourage everybody.
Yeah, so now he's going to talk about 70 years old. Let me just fast forward a little bit more and to just see his calculation out here.
What you put in, which is $426,000, and compound it over 15 years, okay? The return rate is even higher at 6.7% or so. Again, this is a wrong way of calculating, but abstractly speaking,
yeah, like I said, like he said, it's a wrong way of calculating, but I see where he's coming from.
This is a very good return. And how much will I get, right? So if I live until 90 years old, we should, if you are at 55 years old.
Yeah, so this is his calculation once you reach 70 years old. If you don't start your distribution at 65, you defer it until 70 years old, you receive $4,420 a month, and then you just times by 20 years and 12 months, and you get $1 million, right? So this is how he got the numbers, I believe, from CPF Life's calculator. I'll just show you quickly how to use it. So yeah, this is the calculator for CPF. Like I said, I'll link it in the description below. And I'll just show you how to use it. So you just put your birth year over here, put the amount that you want to put in your RA. I'm choosing a standard plan because that's what Mr. Loo has chosen in his video. So as you can see over here, yeah, these numbers are correct, right? Every month you receive $3,330, and if you live until 0 times 12 times 25 years, yeah, you get $999,000, and you can defer it to whatever age you want between 65 to 70 years old. Let's say it's 70 years old, yeah, you get 4410 over here. So this is the standard plan. If you want to, you can compare this with the basic and escalating plan, right? So yeah, so his numbers are correct. Over here, you can play around with the calculators in the description below. You just need to sign in with your SingPass, and then you can play around the calculator. One thing to take note, he's using standard plan, but I believe even investment mode says if you care about IRR, right, basic plan might be better. And over here, I'll link this in the description as well. Christopher Tan from Providend also mentioned that, hey, basic plan might make sense for most people, and he explains why in the video here, right? As you can see, if someone was to die at 85 years old, that actually still a bequest of $93,000. Of course, at 95, everything is zero, then maybe standard and escalating makes more sense. But for the general population, maybe basic makes more sense, or I personally like at least basic better than the rest of the plans. Now going back to the video here.
Then you will get $1.06 million, even higher than the previous case. And if you are like Mr. Loo, aiming to live to 100 years old, doing everything necessary.
Yeah, if you were to live to 100, then CPF Life is great. I may pause this a little bit and then fast forward.
Will not go in. I think you need to log on with your SingPass and things like that, and you can come.
Yeah, this is the old CPF Life estimator or CPF Life calculator. Actually, I like this one a little bit more because it tells you how much bequests you will get at certain age. But I think they have either retire this calculator and make us use the new ones, which only tells us the payouts that you receive for the 3 different plans like I shown previously.
Calculate it pretty accurately. So I'll give you my number. My number will be this number. If I target towards it, I'll top up to full. That's Mr. Loo's strategy, top up full. And that will be for...
Let me fast forward a little bit more.
Everybody should work towards that. I also want to highlight the risk of this option, which I highly favored. So now that the special account closure deadline is here, and I'm very...
So in the next section, he will talk more about the different risks or the pros and cons, like you call it. This is more of the cons portions.
Interested in my strategy, and I've interest everybody in the strategy. I like to highlight some risks as well of this strategy. First of all, the 4% return rate of CPF Life interest is not guaranteed. The 4% return of the special account is not guaranteed, and 4% return of the MediSave account is also not guaranteed.
Like you mentioned, really the CPF has mentioned that the 4% is not guaranteed, but like you said, what's the likelihood of it changing? Maybe it's not high, but it's really one to take note, and one should understand the entirety of how the CPF Life system works, right? And there's a good article that CPF Life have. So as you can see here, how are CPF rates determined? OA is basically the 3-month average of the local bank's interest, but there's a legislative minimum of 2.5%, so that's for the OA account. And for the SA and RA accounts over here, earns a 12 months average yield of the 10-year government securities plus 1% subjected to the current floor interest rate of 4%. However, this is reviewed quarterly, right? So need to take note of that. And as you can see, the interest rate that all the banks give actually is not very high. So it's for a long period of time, it has hit this legislative minimum of 2.5% for the OA account. And as you can see here, government securities actually dipped from last year. So the legislative minimum of 4% per annum holds for the next quarter from January 2025 to March 2025. Previously, actually, this was a little bit higher because the 10-year government bonds yielded higher than 3%. So that's why it was a higher amount for our CPF, MA, SA, and RA account. Let's go back.
Guaranteed. So as a result, the $4,400 that I've projected is also not guaranteed for myself. So the chances
so all of these are not guaranteed, like is it?
Of it falling below 4%, I don't think is high. But I want to say and emphasize to everybody, the government has outrightly said it is not a guaranteed number. But I think the likelihood of a major change is not high. We have tasted recently that policy changes can happen and can happen most unexpected.
This is another point that Swee Yong really highlighted in his video, and I tend to agree, right? Policy changes can happen in CPF Life, so it needs to be in your contemplation when you choose how much to put in for your RA account, right? If you choose FRS versus if you choose ERS, that's the pros and cons you need to think about, and how much to leave in your OA account if you want to withdraw it. Those are some of things you should think about.
Given that we're going to have a long time horizon between now to the time we withdraw our CPF, the PAP government may change the policy again and affect the payout in a very adverse way. It can happen. Of course, it can happen the other way around, but I think it's quite likely. And the worst part could be another political party got voted in by the majority of Singaporeans and change the CPF rules as they are more.
CPF rules are likely to get changed. Let me just fast forward a little bit more. And yes, liquidity risk.
This is a more real risk. You have got $400,000 locked up in your CPF or whatever amount is, and there may be a day where you suddenly need a huge sum of money and you can't get it. Maybe you suddenly need to buy a house, or your children get into trouble, or whatever the reason is. You need to take note that the transfer of money to your ERS is irreversible. And this is something that you need to take note of. With all the risks that I've highlighted.
So like you said, liquidity risk is a real issue, also pointed out in Swee Yong's video. And anything that you topped up, if you top up your RA to the full ERS amount, that is irreversible, and that amount is sort of stuck there until you reach 65, and then from 65 onwards you have a monthly distribution. So liquidity risk is real. It's important to think about, once you reach at that age, right, 55 or retirement age, you never know what your liquidity needs are, for your family, for various other things that you personally want to do, right? Maybe you want to, if you retire at like maybe 60, right, you want to go and travel, maybe you need a little bit more money, right? By putting it a lot in the ERS, you are locking it up. It's not bad, but there's always like pros and cons, and you need to assess the risk or assess your needs, right, at the point of time. So at 55, you do need to choose the different options. I did a previous video talking about the different options if you want more flexibility in the different ways you want to manage your monies, right? So feel free to have a look.
I want to give this special warning to everybody, because this is the time where everybody suddenly with a lot of money would like to do a lot of things. Warren Buffett has said this before, to anybody with a hammer, anything looks like a nail. So you suddenly are given a lot of money now in an ordinary account that previously on a special account, you just love to throw money somewhere to get.
Yeah, this is so another risk, right? If you at 55 years old, if you were to withdraw all, let's say you put in the FRS, you withdraw everything else, you really should have a plan on what to do with that amount of money. If not, it's really quickly spent for random cases, right? Someone say, oh, this is a good investment, that's a good investment, but I believe Mr. Loo also says in the video, never invest in something you don't understand. Always speak to a financial advisor if you need help. And of course there's also a lot of scams that are going on right now, so it's better to be wary about your money and where you put it.
Get high return. I need to stress this to everybody. Your CPF is your financial safety net. You cannot afford to lose it. At 55 years old and above, you could be 55, 60, 65, 70 years old. Suddenly all this money come around and you see, Mr. Loo, Adam Khoo, I don't know who else are making so much money, S&P 500.
Yeah, so really be wary about that. There's a lot of scams that is going on. Not saying that what he was mentioning are scams, but there are really different forms of investments that people can do with a lump sum of money. But always, be on the side of caution for all this. And like you said, always try to understand what you're investing in.
And you just can't wait to throw money in S&P 500 or stock market or DBS or OCBC, whatever stock whatsoever, and just want to make a hell lot of money, right? At this age, you cannot afford to take too much risk with your financial safety net. I need to say this again, never touch anything that you don't understand. There is a lot of people who wrote to me and say that, Mr. Loo, I don't understand anything about S&P 500, but can you please tell me what to invest, which account should I open, and how should I buy or whatsoever?
Yeah, agree with him, right? Even though if I believe S&P or if I believe investing in a broad-based index fund is a good investment, if someone else doesn't understand all this investment stuff, maybe it's best to put it in a safer investment, right? Always need to understand what you're investing in.
My answer to them is, if you don't know anything about S&P 500, don't buy, don't invest.
Definitely agree.
Right? You cannot touch anything that you don't understand. Never follow any financial influencer, financial guru, Mr. Loo, or anybody without understanding in detail what we do, what we preach, or what we role model whatsoever that you don't understand. Never ever follow anyone to do anything that you don't understand in detail. That's very dangerous. Just because someone do it and you follow it is
I've seen a lot of people, especially my age, right, go into the hype of, for example, like crypto, NFTs, etc., or there's a lot of like meme coins that's going on right now, and they have really been burned. Like I got a couple of friends who lost quite a lot of money in crypto, and way back when, not even way back when, like even last year when there was the meme stock rally, right, a lot of people have been burned. So really it's a lot of times gambling, so only invest in stuff that you understand, speak to a financial advisor, please get educated on a lot of this stuff.
The formula for a crisis waiting to happen in time to come. All said and done, for those people that the SA closure doesn't affect you, work very hard, save very hard, invest well while we are young. Ideally, if you have the choice, CPF Life should not be your only source of retirement income, because there are risks as well that I highlighted earlier, however low the risk is. And let's also accept it, like nothing in this world is without risk. So as we venture...
So again, great commentary here. I still count myself as young, but when we are still working, try to save as much as possible, invest it, for your nest egg in the future, for your retirement. And CPF Life really shouldn't be, at least if I would think about it, CPF Life really shouldn't be my only nest egg, right? Or source of retirement income. Always try to have multiple sources of income, have a well diversified portfolio of different stuff that you own. So this is really important, right? As what Mr. Loo has said, nothing in the world is without risk. Try to understand what you're investing in. There's always pros and cons in a lot of things, right? So even if someone believes that I should invest in a broad-based index fund, for example, if they don't really understand how the stock market works, the volatility of the stock market, and how it performs over a long period of time, because it's not a straight up, right? It goes down, it goes up, it goes down, and it goes up. It's very volatile, especially for equities. So if you don't understand that by nature, you might panic sell at the bottom, right? And then when everyone say, oh, everything is so good, everything keeps going up, and then you enter the market, right? And maybe that's the worst time to enter. Who knows, right? So you really need to understand if you are investing in a broad-based index fund. It's over a very long-term thing. Investments are, of course, risky by nature for equity investments. Past performance is not future performance. S&P might be 12+% per year over the current run, but who knows what will happen in the next 5, 10, 20 years, right? So there is risk that's involved there.
Into this new policy change, let's go in with eyes open, carefully consider all the options. The strategy for rest of people, you might think carefully whether this is suitable for you or not. Thank you for watching, and may you do well in your retirement, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.
I think overall great video from Mr. Loo. Please subscribe to his channel. Really great video. I'll subscribe now. So it's a great video by him. I think very fair, very balanced point of view, right? A lot of people need to think about, hey, especially once you reach 55, you need to think, hey, what are you going to do with that sum of money? Either you want to choose CPF Life, how much, everyone needs to choose CPF Life, but how much of the amount you want to put it in, you want to put your ERS, you want to put your FRS instead. It's all something you need to think about. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe for my future videos. And if you have anything you want to ask about CPF, about investments, about any other thing, please leave in the comment section. If not, please also look through my different other videos, Mr. Loo's video or Swee Yong's videos, for really good commentary on the different CPF, CPF at 55, what you're supposed to do, or what you can do, or different options that you can choose. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.